But before turning the topic I want to discuss today, I hope you'll indulge me. I want to talk a little bit about the crisis people are facing in Florida right now. Hurricane Ian made landfall in Cuba this morning as a Category 3 storm. Florida is now preparing for the hurricane to make landfall. Forecasts can change, but for now, the experts say this could be a very severe hurricane, life-threatening and devastating in its impact. So I want to be clear about two main messages. First, my administration is on alert and in action to help the people of Florida. I've approved Florida's request for emergency assistance immediately upon receiving it from the governor when they received it. And I directed my team to surge federal assistance there before the storm hit. FEMA has already deployed 700 personnel to Florida, and the governor has activated 5,000 state National Guard with another 2,000 guards coming from other states. FEMA is also proposing and pre-positioning 3.5 million liters of water, 3.7 million meals, and hundreds of generators. I just spoke this morning with the areas that will likely be hit, the mayors of Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater. All of them are in the storm's path, and they're focused on the safety of their communities, and they're doing everything they can to get people out of harm's way. I told each one of them my conversation separately. Whatever they need, I mean this sincerely, whatever they need, contact me directly, and they know how to do that. I have a lot of personnel down there already. We're here to support them in every way we can.
Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, September 27th, 2022. Welcome to day 616. The Senate is set to vote on a short-term spending bill to keep the federal government running past Friday. In addition to maintaining current funding levels through December 16th, the bill also provides more than $12 billion to Ukraine, $1 billion to help families with heating and cooling costs, $2.5 billion to help New Mexico recover from wildfires, and $20 million in emergency funding for water and wastewater infrastructure improvements in Jackson, Mississippi. Prior to voting, Joe Manchin asked Chuck Schumer to remove his energy-permitting package from the short-term spending bill. The proposal was a key part of Schumer's deal with Manchin to pass the Inflation Reduction Act this summer along party lines. Manchin conceded only after several Democrats and Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, threatened to vote against the spending measure and risk a government shutdown. In Texas, Attorney General Ken Paxton fled his home in a truck driven by his wife in order to avoid being served a subpoena in a lawsuit over funding for abortions. Several abortion rights organizations filed a lawsuit seeking a court order barring state officials from pursuing criminal charges against their employees for providing financial and other aid to Texans who are seeking abortion services out of state. In a sworn affidavit, the process server said Paxton refused to accept the subpoena and instead ran from his garage into a truck driven by his wife, State Senator Angela Paxton. Moving on, more than 1,000 students walked out of Virginia public schools in protest against the state's reversal of transgender protections. Earlier this month, Governor Glenn Youngkin rewrote Virginia's model policies for the treatment of transgender students, mandating that all students use school bathrooms and locker rooms according to the biological sex that they were assigned at birth. The new policy also requires parental approval for staff members to refer to students by a different name or pronoun at school. The Pride Liberation Project, a statewide LGBTQ youth advocacy group, said in a statement, quote, "These revised guidelines will only hurt students in a time when students are facing unparalleled mental health challenges and are a cruel attempt to politicize the existence of LGBTQIA+ students for political gain." End quote. Meanwhile, Hurricane Ian made landfall as a Category 3 storm over Cuba and is expected to strengthen to a Category 4 storm as it approaches Florida's southwest coast. More than 2.5 million Florida residents are already under evacuation orders. The storm is expected to pass west of the Florida Keys on Tuesday and come ashore just south of Sarasota on Florida's Gulf Coast by Wednesday night. The January 6th committee also postponed its next hearing because of Hurricane Ian. It's unclear when the panel's ninth and final public hearing will be rescheduled. And finally, European leaders blamed the Kremlin for explosions that damaged 3 natural gas pipelines running under the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany. Nord Stream AG, the company operating the pipeline, said in a statement, quote, "The damage that occurred in one day simultaneously at 3 lines of offshore pipelines of the Nord Stream system is unprecedented," end quote. The Danish Prime Minister said she cannot rule out sabotage, saying, quote, "These are deliberate actions, not an accident. The situation is as serious as it gets," end quote. The Polish Prime Minister added that, quote, "We can clearly see that it is an act of sabotage," end quote, adding that it, quote, "probably marks the next stage in the escalation of this situation in Ukraine," end quote. It's not yet clear what impact the damage will have on Europe's energy supplies, but Western officials have warned that the Kremlin is weaponizing its gas deliveries to Europe to punish governments for supporting Ukraine. And in the polls, Bloomberg says 41% of Americans favor charging Trump with crimes related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, while 34% are against charging him, and another 25% say they're unsure. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Anditas.